Assalamu alaikum and welcome again. Now we are talking about 9626 paper 2, the specimen paper 2022. It's 2 hours 30 minutes. Now I am interested to solve the question 5, which is a spreadsheet question. The first 4 questions was video audio making, and now we are talking about the spreadsheet. Tower Transport have asked Planet Saviors to help them reduce their carbon emissions from their buses traveling on a number of routes. They need to identify buses that emit more CO2 than expected. For their calculations, they will assume that all seats on all buses are occupied by a passenger. All time values must be set in HHMMSS format. You must use the most efficient method to solve each task. All documents produced must be a professional standard and suit the business context. Open and examine the files S2 bus and S2 bus trips CSV in a spreadsheet, which means for us the Excel. Now save S2 bus trips as a spreadsheet with the name bus trips with your center number, candidate number, like the example. Let's do it. This is bus trips. First of all, I will make the save Excel workbook in my working area. Okay, now this is my bus trips. This is the expected CO2 level per passenger per minute, and this is the kilograms of passenger, yes, in kilogram passenger per kilometer. Now expected time for this stage of a trip. These are the expected time as a duration for each trip. Now bus number, here the bus number. This is the departure time for each of these buses, and we have empty arrive in. Now these are the routes and the, let's say, stations or stop points, and this is the actual time for driving for each bus for each place. Now we have total trip time empty, number of seats empty, CO2 per emissions per passenger per minute empty, kilograms of CO2 used on this journey is empty. Now we have some grouping here, the number of seats per bus, and we have for these also are empty. So let's find out the other file. Bus, here it's talking about bus number, the location, and number of seats, CO2 emissions per bus per minute for each of these buses according to the bus number. Okay, now question 5. In your bus trips spreadsheet, insert appropriate formula in row 17 to calculate total trip time for each bus. Okay, now we are here in row 17. We are talking about the first bus here, bus number 45. Now the total time, it will be the sum of the column of the time for this bus, and to replicate I have to drag it just only for here. AW is your last column in this question. Now after this, in row 18, look up number of seats on each bus. So I will use bus number and number of seats. It is number 3. And it will be VLOOKUP because my table array is sorted in in vertical. Now equals VLOOKUP and I will get, this is my value. If you want, you can go to the wizard here, table array from bus. I can just make it from A to C, maybe for D if I want to use it for next question maybe, and just drag to copy and paste. Then in row 19, calculate the CO2 emissions for each passenger per minute. Now let's find what they are talking about. They want me to find the CO2 emissions per passenger per minute. Now here, this CO2 emission per minute, but I want it also per passenger. So I will get this number and I will divide it here by the number of passengers from row 18. Okay, so it will be also VLOOKUP for the bus number I can just use the previous one, replace 3 by 4, but it's okay. Now 4 and 0. This is divided by number of passengers in D18. Okay. Now I will replicate to AW. Now, next question in row 20. Calculate total kilograms of CO2 emissions for this trip. Use only the hour and minutes from the total trip time, rounding the number of seconds to the nearest minute. Now, when they say round the number of seconds to the nearest minute, this means I can't use our regular or common round function. Why? Because round function is working on the decimal count. It is rounding the numbers when it is more than 5, more than the half of 10. It will be rounded to the upper number as to add 1. But here we are talking if it is more than 30 seconds, I will get a full minute. So it is not talking about 50, it is talking about 30. So I will make it as if statement. If the seconds are 30 or more, I will make it as 1 to add 1. But if it is less than 30, it will be 0 minutes added. Okay. Now, let's go here. The kilograms, it will be the D19, the kilograms here, to be calculated. I will multiply D19 by D18 by the time. Now I will say hour of D17, which is the 4 hours multiplied by 60 to get full minutes. Then the number of minutes in D17 plus F seconds in D17 greater than 30, so it will be 1, if not it will be 0, but let me say it is greater than equal 30. Okay, so this is the kilograms of CO2 used in this journey. It will be number of seats multiplied by each passenger multiplied by the time as requested. So this is wrong format. I will go from here and find number in the integer format. Okay. So this is the total number of kilograms of CO2 used for this journey for the 4 hours, 17 minutes, 19 seconds. Then buses are grouped by the number of seats. Insert formula in row 24 to calculate number of buses in each group. So this means I want to find out how many buses in these strips that contain 12 or 15, 16 number of buses. So it will be count F, as you know, because I am counting according to some condition, which is the bus, how many seats it has, range from here, number of seats, yes, from D18 to AW18, it will be absolute reference. The criteria will be the B23, which is 12 seats. I have 2, and I have to get all the count. Now, number of buses meeting expected CO2 level in that group. So I have to find in this group, which is 12 seats, how many of these 2 buses are meeting the expected CO2 level, which is here. This is the expected CO2 level per passenger per minute. So what should I do? This will be count F's, because I have first of all to find it if it is from the same group, then is it meeting the expected level of CO2. So let's do it. Count F's. Criteria range 1, it will be the number of seats absolute, and its criteria here B23. Okay, then sorry, I have selected the wrong place here. Count F's, the range, yes, and my criteria 12. Now criteria 2 will be the CO2 emissions per passenger per minute, which is in the 19 here. And also now my criteria will be this one, but B1 should be absolute because it's my only reference. Now I have to say that it should be what? Less than the B1. Okay? When I want it is less than B1, you will find that there is no reference or answer. So I have to surround less than in quotation then and like this. Why? Because I want to get the criteria to be less than 0.01, so it will be okay. Now like this I will get the answer. Now I can replicate. After this, it is asking me to calculate the percentage of buses meeting the expected CO2 level in B26. To find the percentage, so I have to get the total of the sum of the little number of buses over the number of the whole number of buses. So it will be sum of the little number over sum of the whole number. Now this number will be changed to percentage. So this is my percentage and I save my work. After this, apply appropriate formatting to your spreadsheet. This must include CO2 emissions displayed in 4 decimal places and kilograms displayed as integers. Kilograms are integers, but here 4 decimal places. Okay. Number. Okay, save. Now, in row 19, for each trip, use conditional formatting to display the content of cells as red text on yellow background if CO2 emissions or per passenger per minute is greater than the expected CO2 level per passenger per minute, and white text on dark green background if this was not the case. Conditional formatting for row 19. This one, which was selected for formatting. Okay. Now here in conditional format, manage rules, new rule, format only cells contain. We are talking about less than. Now greater than, okay. Let's do it as listed greater than. Greater than what? This one. Okay, now it has absolute reference. If it is greater than this level, it will be red format for the font and yellow filling. Now, new rule, contain if it is less than or equal the expected factor, so the format will be font white and dark green and okay, stop F through, and okay. Now we have the conditional formatting. After this, save your spreadsheet as CO2 J014 and my candidate number. So save as Excel workbook in the expected name and save. Now set the spreadsheet so that when it is scrolled, column A and the rows from 1 to 3 remain on the screen. Save your spreadsheet. Okay. Now you have many ways to make this freeze. You can just come from view and make the freeze, or simply you can just use the controller here to freeze your selection. This is for the first 3 rows, the first column. Okay, and then after this it is talking about the protection. I will save my work and deactivate the freeze. Now protect all cells in columns A and C only. B is not included because it is just only A and C. Rows from 17 to 20 inclusive, 17, 18, 19 and 20. So that they cannot be edited when worksheet is locked. Leave all other unprotected cells. Now protect this worksheet but not the workbook using the password. This password. Okay. Let's protect our file. First of all, I select all the cells in my worksheet. Then from number pointer here, protection, and deselect locked. Now my all worksheet is not locked. Then I have to select column A, rows 17, 18, 19, 20. These will be locked, but the lock is not enough. I have to go to the review and make protect sheet there. After this, I will go to the review. Now you have protect sheet, protect workbook. I will go to protect sheet. Now this is my password and this is my same, but I have to verify my password. Now I have protected my file. I have to save it under this name. Protect J014 and my candidate number. Okay. After this, the expected CO2 level per passenger per minute has been changed by government to be 7%. As you see, use the spreadsheet to model this change for these bus trips. This means the critical buses will increase because we are just make the restriction higher. It will be 0.07. So I will have more yellow red here, as you see. The green will be less because my factor is becoming less. Okay, now I have to save this file in the name model. Okay, save as model and save. Now if I want to work on this file in some extra questions. Let's say they are asking me to find out when this bus will arrive as the whole trip, the end of the trip. Now it started at 5, the duration is 4 hours, so when it will arrive at the end, so it will be the start time, the departure, plus the duration, it will be my arrival time at the end. Okay, now if I want to find out how many buses were late in their journeys, here, this is taking 29 minutes and it should be just only 15. So, how can we find out how many buses are late? I can say, or to compare, count F. Yes, count F. I want to compare in this range of this station or stop. Sorry, not this one. Okay. 4 equal count F, the range here, and let's make it as, okay, my criteria is less than equal the supposed or the expected time. As you see, it will not work, but as the previous trick, I have to make less than equal in double quotation and concatenate using the AND symbol, so it will work. There's no bus on time. They are all late. Let's do it here. Okay. Now it's working. Now, as you see here, there is no absolute reference because the time for each station, for each bus is relative, so it will not have any absolute reference. Okay, if I want to make conditional formatting for these timings, if it's on time, it will be filled with a blue. If it is late, it will be filled in orange. How to do this? It will be conditional formatting. Okay, but I have to unprotect my file to make the conditional formatting work because we are protecting our data. So let's go to review, unprotect sheet, and let's enter the password here. Okay. Now, home, conditional formatting, and manage rules. My rule now in the conditional formatting, if my data here is less than or equal the time, the expected time. Now let's find how I can do this. Now every one of these ranges should be compared to its B from B4 to B16. So when I'm talking about the times in 7, it will be according to 7. When it is in 12, it will be relatively to 12. So I can't make it as absolute B4. I will just make it absolute B relative 4. This is the meaning of $B4. Absolute B and relative 4. This is the meaning of the $B4. So it will stay on column B, but it will be relative in the row. From 4 to 16, it will be according to each line. Now, if it is less than or equal this, the format will be, as we said, blue, the filling, and okay, stop F true, new rule for the same selection. If it is greater than, also B4 format. Let's make it some red or yes. Okay, and stop F true applied. Yes, because we have little number of on time, so I will have little blues, but the red will be more. Okay, by this we have solved the specimen for the Excel and also some extra questions. Good luck, my dear students, and I'll see you in next exams. Bye bye.